Hello, Great Cove. Welcome to the Great Cove Religion Studies Paper 1, November 2025 memo discussion. So that is where we are going to be discussing the expected outcomes for different questions. So in terms of the mark allocation, the paper is out of 150. Then in terms of the time allocation, that is 150 marks. Then moving straight to the instructions, you must bear in mind that in section A, the section A and section B are compulsory sections. Then you choose any two questions in the final section. So section A is compulsory, and you choose any two questions in section B rather. All right, then let's go straight to the questions themselves. So various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question numbers 1.1.1 up to 1.1.10, e.g. 1.1.11d. All right, the central teachings of Baha'i faith, are contained in their sacred text, which is known as the Kitab-e-Aqdas. That is the sacred text of Baha'i faith. So our correct answer or our correct letter there would be the letter C. It is the Kitab-e-Aqdas. Then moving straight to 1.1.2, the head of the Catholic branch in Christianity is known as the Pope. The Pope is the head of the Catholic Church in Christianity. Then, just as an addition for for enrichment, we can also say that the Pope is based in the Vatican City. The Pope will be based in the Vatican City. Then moving straight to the next question. The next question is question 1.3. Then a state of perfect happiness and peace is known as nirvana. That is a state of perfect happiness and peace. This is common in the East Asian religions, which are Buddhism and also in Hinduism. Then religious laws observed by Orthodox Jews are quote. So the Orthodox Jews are the traditional school of thought of Judaism. They believe in the halakha. That is the Orthodox. All right, now moving on to the next one, 1.1.5. Holding on to traditional conventional values is known as conservatism. It is known as conservatism. When you hold on to traditional and conventional values, you are considered to be conservative. 1.1.6, all religions are paths towards the truth and they are equally true. So this is a concept known as pluralism, whereby they believe that all religions are paths towards the truth and they're equally true. Then an example of an Abrahamic religion. So amongst these ones, the example of an Abrahamic religion would be Judaism. Why are we choosing Judaism? If you look at these ones, if you look at Buddhism, this is called an East Asian religion, Eastern religion. Then this one is also considered to be Eastern. Then Baha'i faith is considered to be a syncretic religion. Syncretic religion, it combines different teachings from various religions. Then moving on to 1.1.8, non-action or effortless action in Taoism is known as Wu Wei. It is known as Wu Wei. So our correct answer then would be A, Wu Wei. That is non-action or effortless action. Then the person who succeeded Prophet Muhammad after his death was known as Abu Bakr. He was known as Abu Bakr. Then the Nana Uwiwa temple is the largest Buddhist temple in the Far East. It is the largest Buddhist temple in China, located in northern China. Then let's go to the next question now. 1.2, complete the following sentences by filling in the missing words. Write only the word next to the question numbers 1.2.1 to 1.2.6 in the answer book. Worshipping many gods is known as polytheism. When someone worships so many gods, that is known as polytheism. Polytheism, that is the worship of many or several gods. Then the line of descent from an ancestor to a person or family is called the line of descent from an ancestor to a person or family is called lineage. It is known as the lineage. It is called lineage. Then this spiritual and physical exercise using specific body postures and breath control is known as this spiritual exercise using specific body postures is known as meditation. It is known as meditation. Then the oldest branch of Buddhism, the branch which is the old one, the oldest one of Buddhism is known as the oldest branch of Buddhism is it is actually known as Theravada. It is known as Theravada Buddhism. A number of gods in a particular tradition is called a number of gods in a particular religious tradition is called. So they are looking for a term which describes a number of gods. Okay, a number of gods in a particular religion that is known as henotheism. Henotheism. Then studying the evolution of the universe is known as cosmology. It is known as cosmology. It is known as cosmology. Then moving straight to the next one. We are now moving on to the next one. 1.3. Choose the words in each of the lists that does not match with the rest. Write down the word next to the question number in the answer book and give a reason why it does not fit there. So we are starting with the first one. We have Haji, Sudra, Zakat, Salat. So we are choosing Sudra. Why are we choosing Sudra? The rest are the part of the pillars of Islam. The rest are part of the pillars of Islam. The rest are pillars of Islam. The rest are pillars of Islam. Then we have the next one, which is moving on to straight to the next one. All right. So in this case, we're choosing mikvah. Why are we choosing mikvah? The next apply to Hinduism. The rest apply to Hinduism. So we are choosing mikvah is the odd one out. The rest are to Hinduism. Then moving to the next one, monotheism, polytheism, atheism, and atheism. So in this case, we are choosing atheism. All right. So why are we choosing this one? The rest are beliefs in at least a God. The rest are beliefs in God. Atheism is the non-belief in a God. The rest are beliefs in a deity. Then Unkulunkulu, Isangoma, Yahweh, and Allah. The odd one out there is Isangoma. Why are we saying that Sangoma is the odd one out? The rest are deities. The rest are names of what? Of God in different religions. The rest are deities. Then we have Kshatra, Brahman, Kama, and Vaisya. So the rest are concepts which are found in Hinduism, but Kama is a teaching. It is actually a teaching in what? Karma is a law in Hinduism. This is a law in Hinduism. Then moving straight to 1.4, choose a description from column B that matches a term in column A. So we are matching columns here. So we have a covenant. So a covenant is known as a deep or solemn pledge. So we are taking G. Covenant is a deep or solemn pledge. That is what is known as a covenant. Then moving on to the next one, Salvation Army. So the Salvation Army is an organization that helps people who are homeless. So this is the letter F. Then moving straight ahead to the next concept. Next concept, a ritual that is, evolution. So evolution explains a process of development or growth. Evolution, that is a process of development or growth. So the correct letter here will be the letter D. Then bodhisattva. So bodhisattva, it actually refers to someone who is at the service or enlightenment of others. Someone who is at the service or enlightenment of others, which is represented by the letter A. It is represented by the letter A. So bodhisattva, that is A. So this one will be A. Then appeasement. This is a ritual which is done to remove misfortune. So 1.4.5 is C. Then 1.4.6 inclusivism. Inclusivism, it is a concept which says that other religions are valid, but the full truth can be found in his or her own religion. So 1.4.6 is B. So let me go through the letters. 1.4.1 G, 1.4.2 F, 1.4.3 G, 1.4.4 A, then 1.4.5 C, then lastly 1.4.6, that is B. All right, now we are moving on to 1.5. Indicate whether the following statements are true or false. Write true or false next to the question numbers in the answer book. So bearing witness that there is no God apart from Allah, and that Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, is known as Al-Shahada. So this is true. This is a true statement. This is a true statement. Then a doctrine is a set of beliefs that are taken to be absolutely true and fixed. A doctrine is a set of beliefs that are believed to be absolutely true and fixed. So this is false. Why are we saying it's false? That is known as dogma. This is actually false. So why are we saying false? This description matches. This is called dogma. According to ATR, the first generation died. Their spirit went to heaven. So this is actually true. This is actually a true teaching of ATR. So this is actually true. Then the Reformation in the church was started by Martin Luther King Jr. This is false. This is false. It was started by Martin Luther King Sr., not Jr. Started by the first Martin Luther King. First Martin Luther King. Simply because this one, then Junior was responsible for the civil rights movement. So the one who was responsible for Reformation is Martin Luther King Jr. Then what is permissible in Hinduism is called kosher. So this is false. This is false. Kosher is associated with food which is associated with Judaism. With Judaism. Then the next one, Baha'u'llah is the founder of Judaism, Buddhism, that is false. He founded Baha'i faith. Baha'i faith. He was responsible for Baha'i. So that is, those are the reasons, true, false. Then we also have true on 1.5.3. Then moving on to the next one, in the context of religion, write two facts about each of the following things. So differences, it refers to the unique features of a religion, features of a religion which distinguish it from another religion. Which distinguish it from another religion. In addition to this, you can actually say that there are differences in practices, and in also in beliefs. Then let's look at unity. Unity refers to the oneness or togetherness of people It refers to the oneness or to the togetherness of people. Unity brings people together, different people together in a religion. Unity brings different people together. So that is 1.6.2. Then moving to the next one. The next one is immortality. Immortality refers to not dying. Everlasting. Many religions believe that God is omnipresent and immortal. Most religions believe that God is omnipresent and he is also immortal. Then moving straight ahead, let's go to the next one. The next page. So it brings us to the end of the first question, which was question 1. Now let's go to question 2. State 2 unique features of Judaism. So the first thing which we want to talk about in Judaism, Judaism believes in Judaism, they believe in Yahweh. They believe in Yahweh, who spoke through prophets such as Moses, and Elijah. All right, Judaism, they use the Torah. The Torah is their sacred text. The sacred text is referred to as the Torah. In addition to that, you can also say that they worship in a synagogue. In synagogues. Then, in addition to that, the food they eat is known as kosher. They eat is kosher. Then, in addition to that, Hinduism. One unique feature about Hinduism is that Hinduism is a henotheistic religion. They believe in several gods, but they believe that there is one God who is superior. It is a henotheistic religion. Then it also, there are classes in, is the caste system in Hinduism. They use what is called the caste system, system whereby they classify different people into various classes. Then state any two similarities of the following religions. All right, similarities between the following religions. Buddhism and Taoism. You look at Buddhism and Taoism. Both religions originated in the Far East. In the Far East. Then these religions are widely practiced in China. In China. These religions are widely practiced in what? In China. Then moving on to 2.2. All right. In Christianity and ATR, all right, they have both religions. You have God at the center of their beliefs. So both religions have God at the center of their beliefs. All right. So both religions have God at the center of their beliefs. Then you can also add that both religions teach about togetherness. Both religions, they teach about togetherness. Then let's go to the next concept. So the next concept is comparability. It's when two religions can be compared. When two religions can be compared against one another. For similarities. So these similarities can be similarities in practices, similarities in beliefs, similarities in teachings. For example, Buddhism and Taoism can be compared to one another. They have similar things. Now let's move on to the next one. The next one, it requires a definition of the term Tikkun Olam. So Tikkun Olam, it is a Hebrew phrase. Tikkun Olam is a Hebrew phrase phrase which talks about which emphasizes making the world a better place, a better place. It is a Hebrew phrase which talks about making the world a better place. So it talks about social justice. So it talks about social justice. Then in addition to social justice, they also talk about, the concept also talks about acts of kindness, taking care of the environment. It also talks about the fact that individuals are supposed to partner with God in improving the world. It's a powerful concept that encourages people to take action and to make a positive impact. So basically, it's about social justice and taking care of the environment. Now, a parable, the next concept there, it will be a parable. So when you're talking about a parable, a parable is an earthly story. It is an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. For example, the parable of the lost coin, the parable of the lost sheep, the parable of the prodigal son. So usually, when Jesus was teaching, he was making use of parables. He would use an earthly story, but with a deeper spiritual meaning. So it is a story with a deeper or spiritual meaning. So that is what we understand as a parable. Now, the next question, it says, explain the difference between incarnation and resurrection. So this one, I'll take it straight to the whiteboard because it would need further clarification. It would require further clarification. Okay, so now for this next question, I'm taking it to the whiteboard so that I can clarify it. So the question requires us to distinguish between incarnation and resurrection. So on one side, I would write incarnation on one side, then I'll also write the other concept, which is resurrection, on the other side. So let me start with incarnation. Okay, incarnation is the teaching whereby God became human. God becoming human. That is the first point. It is a belief that God became human. It is a belief that God became human as Jesus Christ and came to the earth. It is a belief that God became human and came to the earth. Then, so it also teaches that Jesus is fully divine, that is having godly characteristics, and also fully human. So that is the first concept. Now going on to the next concept. The next concept, which is resurrection. The concept of resurrection. This is a different concept where Jesus returned back to life from the dead. Jesus returned back to life from the dead. Then it also teaches about victory over death. It teaches about victory over death, the resurrection, is seen as triumph over death. The resurrection is seen as triumph over death. So those are the differences between these two concepts. Now, moving straight to the next concept. All right, so we have done this one, 2.4, the difference between reincarnation, incarnation, and resurrection. We have also given example. All right, then Buddha was human, not God. Elaborate the statement above. All right, yes. All right, Buddha was a human being who founded. He was a human being who founded Buddhism. So his name, full name was Siddhartha Gautama. So he lived and died. So he was a historical figure. He lived and died. He was a spiritual teacher. He was a spiritual teacher rather than a god. A god. He was a spiritual teacher rather than a god. Therefore, in Buddhism, he is not recognized as a god. He is not recognized as a god. Instead, Buddha taught people not to worship him. He taught people not to worship him. So he was not a god. He discouraged people from worshiping him. So in that case, he was not a god. Then 2.6. 2.6. All right, the next question reads, name and explain 2 ashramas or stages of Buddhism. So the first one, we do have Hinayana, Yana, and Mahayana. So these are the main vehicles or traditions of Buddhism. These are the main vehicles or traditions of Buddhism. These are the main vehicles or traditions of Buddhism. So they are also known as Theravada, which is the oldest form of Judaism. So they teach about spiritual enlightenment, They teach about spiritual enlightenment. And in addition to that, they also emphasize the fact that all individuals, they also teach that all individuals attain its enlightenment. They also teach that all individuals can attain enlightenment. All right, so those are the two school of thoughts. Now let's go straight to 3.1. Read the extract below and answer the questions that follow. Media coverage of religion is broken. Global survey confirms it. Veteran religion reporter Julia Bicknell analyzed a major global survey on media coverage of religion conducted in 2022. The objective of the study was to help identify much of a global appetite there is for an enhanced discussion of faith in the media space. The research was done in two parts. First, over 30 interviews were done with journalists from 17 countries. The second part involved an online survey of over 9,000 adults in 17 countries, including South Africa. The journalists interviewed felt that coverage of faith and religion is poor, inconsistent, and becoming more marginalized. They expressed fear around getting religious coverage right, particularly in largely secular newsrooms. They say that religious stories are not seen as a good fit for hard news. It is easy to do soft coverage of, say, festivals and focus on the hard news only. Comes at times when religious leaders are mired in controversy or scandal. Among them, people who answered on the online survey, there appeared to be a growing gap between media coverage of religion and the needs of the faithful. There is a global desire for better coverage, understanding, and representation of faith issues in the mainstream media. According to Julia Bicknell, the current global digital news ecosystem, which is dependent on clickbait and controversy, is broken and needs a radical overhaul. All right. So, according to the article, what was the main objective of the survey? So if you look at this article, the main objective of the survey was conducted. The objective was to identify how much of a global appetite there is for enhanced discussion in the media space. So this one, we take it as it is verbatim. We take it verbatim. The objective of the study was to identify how much of a global appetite there is in media. So this is the answer for 3.1.1. And 1.1. The objective of the study was to identify how much of a global appetite there is for an enhanced discussion. Now, in your own words, explain what Julia means when she says media coverage of religion is broken. So, what she meant here is that there is no, she meant that religion does not receive proper coverage. She meant that religion does not receive proper coverage in the media. She meant that religion does not receive proper coverage in the what? In the media. It does not get the proper coverage which it deserves. Then state 3 findings of the online survey regarding religious media. All right, so the first thing is that coverage is poor. So the first thing is poor coverage. Followed by poor coverage. Then in addition to that, only scandals are reported. Scandals and controversies are reported. Only scandals are reported. So apart from poor coverage, they only tend to they only tend to broadcast only the what them scandals. Then they cover only religious festivals. Festivals are covered. Only religious festivals are covered. So that is another problem. Now, 3.1.4, explain what mainstream media is. So when we are looking at 3.1.4, mainstream media medium refers to conventional media. Mainstream media refers to conventional media. It also refers to traditional media. It also refers to traditional media. Or you can also say that this also refers to what traditional media. I've stated that. Then examples include radios. Examples of this media include radios. It also includes things like, besides radios, it also includes, we've mentioned radios. It also includes things such as the television and newspapers. So it is the opposite of social media. It is the opposite of social media. All right, suggest 4 reasons why media prefers hard stories instead of soft stories. All right, so there are several reasons which have been mentioned there. So they say that religious stories are not seen as good or fit for the news. So that is the first fact. They say that religious stories are not seen as a fit for hard news. That is point number 1. So this is the first point. Number 1 here. Then it is easy to do soft coverage. And the focus of hard news only comes when, this is the second reason, the focus for hard news only comes when the religious leaders are covered in controversy. Then they think that another reason is that they think religious issues do not require that attention. Require hard copies. They think that religious issues, they do not require hard copies. So at the end of the day, they end up chasing other events as compared to to religious issues. Now let's move on to the next one. Explain what journalists meant by getting coverage right, particularly in largely secular newsrooms. So basically, this means that getting more coverage in media houses which are not concerned about religious issues. This is getting more coverage in media houses which are not concerned with religious issues. This also means that this is getting more coverage in media houses which are not concerned in religious issues. It means getting more coverage for teachings and events. Getting more coverage for teachings and events. What does it also mean? Getting more airtime or airplay, more airplay, getting more airplay, then reporting less controversies, less scandals, also reporting less scandals. All right. So they are saying religious stories are newsworthy when they are negative or scandalous. Analyze the effects of such reporting. So 3.1.7, effects of scandalous reporting. The effects of scandalous reporting are as follows. So the first thing, when it comes to scandalous reporting, it simply means that it results in so many negative things. So I'm going to list some of the negative things which are associated with scandalous reporting. So it results in loss of trust in religion, loss of faith and trust in religion, so there will be a loss of faith and trust in religion. Then this will also be followed by the loss of trust will be followed by polarization. It results in hatred amongst people, polarization amongst people, amongst the audience. They will end up hating each other. Polarization. It divides people. For example, when they report something bad about a particular church, the people will end up hating that particular church or that particular religious leader. Then in addition to that, it harms emotions of believers, It harms the emotions of believers. It can also result in interreligious conflict. It can result in interreligious conflicts. So that is what happens. Now, moving on to 3.2. State two advantages and two disadvantages of religious using social media. So advantages of using social media. So on one side, I'm going to write the advantages of social media. Then on the other side, we are writing the disadvantages. So number one, advantages of social media. It has increased reach. You can reach so many people, increased reach of target audience. Increased reach of target audience. Then in addition to that, we have also increased outreach and evangelism. Outreach and evangelism. Then in addition to that, you can also say that the use of social media provides an opportunity for real-time engagement. You can engage with people in real time. So real-time engagement. Real-time engagement. In addition to that, there's also, it publicizes events. So these are the advantages. All right. Now let's look at the disadvantages. Social media usually it is prone to misinformation. Social media is associated with misinformation. Sometimes information is not properly communicated. So it also causes polarization. Social media can be polarizing. It causes divisions and hatred. Then in addition to that, it can also result in cyberbullying. So these are the disadvantages and the advantages of use of social media in religion. Now, let's look at the last point. Elaborate on the different ways in which religions can respond to media coverage in media. So the first thing, religions should have a media liaison officer. Someone who is qualified to deal with the media. In addition to that, it's the media religions should hold press conferences. They should also issue media releases. Issuing of media releases. They should issue media releases. Then in addition to that, they should also report objectively. When they report, they should report objectively. They should provide objective reports, not to be too biased on one side. They shouldn't be biased on one side. They should provide objective reports. Then in addition to that, they should also provide proper research. They should be able to provide proper research. Proper research should be done properly before they publish things. Proper research. Then they should also be able to navigate controversy in a clever way. Navigate controversy. You don't, engage controversy in a very, very clever way. Then they should also be respectful and sensible. Religious groups groups often emphasize the importance of respect and sensitivity when interacting with the media, when discussing sensitive or complex topics. Then they should also conduct press releases to share news and announcement to the public. They should also conduct interviews. Then they should create their own media content such as podcasts, videos on social media posts. Then they should build a good working relationship with media representatives to establish trust and to ensure accurate representation. So that is how they can handle the media. So that brings us to question number 4. So question number 4 requires us to read the extract below and answer the questions that follow. The military government that ruled Myanmar in the 1980s through the 2000s mixed Burmese and nationalism with Theravada Buddhism and used that as a means to strengthen its legitimacy. It also heavily discriminated against minority populations such in Myanmar, such as the Rohingya and Kokang Pantai people. The Rohingya are a Muslim ethnic minority group who have lived for centuries in predominantly Buddhist Myanmar, formerly known as Burma. Despite living in Myanmar for many generations, the military government does not recognize the Rohingya as an official ethnic group and have denied them citizenship since 1982, making them the world's largest stateless population. Zaid Rayad Al Hussein, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, described this as a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. In 2012, riots broke out between Rohingya Muslims and Buddhist Rakhines. The Myanmar government encouraged those riots as there is evidence that the Rakhine men were bussed from Sitwe and given knives and free food to participate in the riots. Many cite religious differences as the culprit of the current crisis. Most Rohingya are Muslim in the Buddhist majority country. Many prominent Burmese monks have turned against the Rohingya, blocking humanitarian assistance and calling for their social and political exclusion along the lines of what some call pay to apartheid in South Africa. Leading the charge against the Rohingya is a Buddhist group composed of monks and laity called 969. Much of the international media describe Rohingya as a Muslim minority suffering from religious persecution at the hands of an intolerant Buddhist majority. The Rohingya have suffered decades of violence, discrimination, persecution, and in Myanmar, more than 1.3 million people were displaced within Myanmar in 2023 due to escalating violence following the military takeover in February 2021. More refugees and asylum seekers from Myanmar are hosted in other countries, including nearly 1 million stateless Rohingya refugees who are living in Bangladesh. What was the previous name of Myanmar? Why do you think the military government showed interest in religion? What do you understand by ethnic cleansing? To what extent is this a religious conflict? Give your answer. So, the first thing, the previous name for Myanmar was Burma. All right. Then what do you think the military government showed interest in religion? So there are quite a number of reasons why they showed interest in religion. So the first thing is that religion is a powerful tool. Religion is a powerful tool which can be used to influence people. It is a powerful tool to influence and to manipulate people. It can be used to gain legitimacy. Actually, it's mentioned in the first paragraph. So the government wanted to maintain its legitimacy. The government wanted to maintain, to gain legitimacy. Remember, it was a military government which was not elected, so they wanted to gain legitimacy. In addition to that, a government can use that in order to create social cohesion, social cohesion. Then, in addition to that, for security reasons, then another two, yes. So those are some of the reasons why the government showed interest in religion. Now let's go to the next question, which talks about ethnic cleansing. So the definition of ethnic cleansing, it can be divided as it can be defined as an act of violence targeting a particular ethnic group, a type of violence and intimidation, targeting a particular ethnic group. It is a type of violence which is targeting a particular group. Then the next question, to what extent is this a religious conflict? To a larger extent, because the violence targeted a specific religious group, a specific religious group. The Muslim minority became victims of the Buddhist majority. So this division was based on religion. However, you can also say that it is much more of a political issue rather than a religious issue, as long as you can back up your argument. All right. So why is it necessary for the international organization to be involved in conflicts like this? It is necessary to facilitate peace negotiations. It is necessary to facilitate peace negotiations, then to protect human rights. It is important to protect human rights. Then it is also important to protect human life, to protect human lives as well. Well, some can actually end up losing their lives. Then the international community is mainly neutral, so it is needed to arbitrate, to act as an arbitrator between the warring parties. So South Africa is free from religious conflict. What lesson can our country teach Myanmar in order to end the conflict? So South Africa can teach Myanmar about the importance of tolerance. They can be taught to tolerate religious freedom, and freedom of association. They can be taught to allow each other to practice their religions without harassing one another. Without harassment. They can be allowed to practice their religions without harassment. They can be taught about peaceful coexistence. They can be taught about peaceful coexistence. They can be taught about peaceful coexistence. That is, existing side by side together in peace. Then, in addition to that, we need to look at, do you think the minor government should be held responsible for the conflict? Yes. They should be held responsible for the conflict, yes, simply because 4.7, the government should be held accountable for the conflict because it was the government, it was the military government, which sought It was the military government which sowed the roots. The government should be held accountable for the conflict because it was the military government which sowed the seeds of the conflict. It sowed the seeds of the conflict. So the government promoted the division. The government even further promoted the division. The government promoted the division of the people. Now, moving on to 5.1, Western ideas of religious tolerance. So modern human rights evolved in Europe as a response to a conflict caused by the Protestant Reformation and the Catholic Counter-Reformation. Thoughtful Europeans, including many deeply religious people, concluded that society would be peaceful if people and their leaders adopted the principle of religious tolerance. That led to the idea that every person should be free to believe what they want and to express their views openly without having to worry about being persecuted. This was not an overnight process. So while many people in Europe were learning to be more tolerant, others fled Europe to escape persecution. They ended up in the United States of America and in the then British colonies of South Africa, Canada, and Australia. Particularly in the United States, the new colonies set about establishing a society based more on religious tolerance than they had experienced in Europe. We can conclude that from this, there were two forces that pushed Europeans to propose the ideas of religious tolerance. When you are part of a persecuted minority, then you tend to support the idea of freedom of religious choice and tolerance. When you experience serious religious conflicts with no winner, then you tend to support the idea of freedom of religious. When you experience religious conflicts with no winner, then you tend to support the idea of religious tolerance and freedom of choice. Explain what is meant by religious tolerance. So this is accepting other people's religions, even though you do not believe in it. Believe in it. According to the extract, how did modern human rights come? As a response to the conflicts, as a response to the conflict across Europe. As a response to the conflict across Europe, what was the outcome of the Reformation? It gave birth to religious tolerance. Then you can also say that it resulted in the migration of of people. Then the next question reads, religious freedom is a human right. Name two other human rights which you can talk about. All right, so we can talk about freedom of expression. Freedom of expression, where people can openly express themselves without being persecuted. So the right to freedom of expression through speech and through other forms of expression. Then we also have freedom of association. Freedom of association, the right to associate with any person who you would want to associate with. It can be your fellow religious believers. So those are the basic rights. Discuss practical ways to ensure that different human rights are not are not violated. So religions should have respect for human dignity. They must teach the respect for human dignity. They must teach about respect for human dignity. In addition to that, they should allow freedom to choose. They shouldn't impose. Freedom to choose should be taught in religions. Freedom to choose Then in addition to that, they can also add freedom of conscience. They should allow freedom of what? Of conscience. Then religions should also teach about human rights in their teachings. Religions should teach about human rights in their teachings. Then let's move on to this one, morality as taught by the Christian religion. So they are the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes, or the Sermon on the Mount. On the Mount. Then in addition to that, there are so many teachings about love. The golden rule of Christianity, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Golden rule of Christianity. Then in addition to that, they also teach about forgiveness. Love, compassion. So for religious freedom, there are so many teachings which talk about religious teachings. So there are various verses which talk about moral guidance, advocacy, community building, education, and other things. Now. Then moving on to 5.5. 5.5, purpose of the Holy Office of Inquisition. Holy, it reads, elaborate on the purpose of Holy Office of Spanish. The purpose of the Holy Office of Spanish Inquisition. So the first purpose was a tribunal. It was a tribunal. It was a tribunal established in 1478 by Queen Isabella. It was by Queen Isabella and Ferdinand. Isabella and Ferdinand. So it was established by Queen Isabella and Ferdinand. Its primary goal was to punish Judaism converts. Its primary goal was to punish Judaism converts. So it held tribunals who were trying people. Then in addition to that, it was also supposed to punish people who were in support of what? Of Judaism and also of Islam. So it was established to violate the rights of the people who were in support of those two religions. So this brings us to the end of this this discussion. Thank you.